we are again for the weekly forecast. Last week we talked about the potential for a couple systems to move through the state, one during the weekend and then one during the Tuesday-Wednesday time frame. That's exactly how the models forecast, and that's exactly how it played out. Unfortunately, the first system did not generate as much moisture as was predicted, but the second system generated a little bit more moisture in certain parts of the state, particularly if you were from western Custer County southwestward toward the McCook region, where we've seen snowfall totals ranging anywhere from 3 to upwards of 12 inches of moisture or 12 inches of snowfall. As you moved east or west of the system, the snowfall totals dropped off rather dramatically as that system was fairly stationary during the day before it started to pick up steam and move eastward during the late afternoon and overnight hours. So once you got into eastern Nebraska, precipitation totals dropped off to just basically trace amounts. But for the most part, almost all locations received anywhere from about a 5/100ths to about 2/10ths of an inch outside of that narrow strip where we've seen totals ranging from a quarter upwards to an inch of moisture. So it was a welcome event for portions of the state. We certainly need to see more widespread precipitation events to alleviate some of these short-term dry conditions that have been persistent now for the better part of the last 2 or 3 months, particularly east of the Panhandle. So do we have the opportunity for weather or for precipitation in our forecast? Let's take a look at the upper mountains and see what this week brings to us. And the first thing I'll draw your attention to is that we do have a troughing pattern trying to develop across the northern plains, and this is going to start sliding cool air toward the southwest as the day progresses, and then it will possibly start to generate some precipitation during the late afternoon, evening hours across the Panhandle region and possibly even the far western extent of the southwestern corner of the state. And that will continue as we go into tomorrow as that moisture and energy moves straight south toward southeastern Colorado. There's the potential, according to the quantitative precipitation forecast, from anywhere from 1/10 of an inch to a 1/4 inch of moisture to fall across the Panhandle. Most of that would be, unfortunately, in the form of snow. But as you head eastward, the precipitation totals drop off significantly, and in fact in eastern Nebraska, I think we'll be fortunate if we receive a trace of precipitation. Now as we go into Monday, we're going to see another piece of energy trying to make its way southward, and this is going to even carve out much cooler air into our region. So probably as we get into Monday, northeast Nebraska will see its coldest day, with the opportunity for snowfall to start generating during the late afternoon hours and carrying on into Tuesday morning. And in fact, the quantitative precipitation forecast for eastern Nebraska from Monday through Tuesday indicates upwards of a 1/4 inch of moisture, but most locations should be right around 1/10 of an inch. Now as we get into Tuesday, that system moves rapidly toward the east and we start to see the ridge building in over the central Rockies, bringing warmer conditions to western Nebraska, but unfortunately northeast Nebraska is still going to be on the very backside of this upper air trough and under the cold air aloft and at the surface pushing toward the southeast, and that should hold temperatures into the low 30s. Now as we get into Wednesday, we're going to start to see a zonal flow, so we're going to get downsloping winds across the western part of the state, and we may actually see temperatures moving up into the 50s, possibly even an isolated 60 in the southwest part of the state. Get further east, we're still going to be locked into a little bit of this cool air. That's going to knock about 10 to 15 degrees off the high temperatures. Now as we get into Thursday, we start to see a trough starting to take place in the central Rocky Mountains, and that will begin to swing into our region as we get into Friday. So we're going to see a boost in temperatures as winds revert back to the southwesterly direction. Temperatures should be well into the 60s across the southwest and even making it up to the upper 40s to low 50s across the northeast. As we get into Friday, here comes this system. Right now, the models are generating some decent precipitation. They've been varying in terms of intensity of this system. One run is a very strong system, the next one's a little bit weaker. We're just going to have to pay attention, so keep an eye on the weather. This could change rather drastically. And as we go to the temperature forecast, coolest temperatures this weekend for the east, and then we'll see a slow moderation through the midweek period. And then we will see another system moving in on Friday to cool our conditions down. 8 to 14-day forecast, reinforcing cold air remains in place through the early part of April. And in terms of precipitation, one of the most widespread precipitation maps that I've seen in the last couple months.